Hey folks, okay, we are back to Shadow Empire. It's been about a week since I've had a chance to play this, so you'll have to bear with me while I kind of get my bearings. Normally I like to take a little bit of time before I play to kind of figure out where I was. I'm just in a massive hurry today, unfortunately. I'm ever so sorry. I do try to ensure that whatever it is that I'm doing is going to be high quality, right? Other times it's just really important for me to get content out for you guys. So I think I'm in a position here where I don't really need to, you know, we've hit a stage of the game, I'd say, where the immediate threat is now off. Okay, yeah, we've got a major down here, but I'm guessing from the way that they're playing that they're not going to be a big problem for me. I've got plenty of troops now. What will be dangerous is if I get attacked by these guys as well. So Goldstone Federation. If I get attacked by Goldstone Federation and by Brandbund at the same time, then I might, then it's going to be back to where we were before, where I'm having to, put up. I'm going to have to put up units like sort of like infantry and just hold the line again. But we've got some terrain advantages this time. Like for example, like if Gold Bond attack or whatever they're called, Goldstone Federation. If those guys attack, I've got these mountains to hide in now, and that is, unless they've got something to dislodge me from the mountains with, they can't win. Okay, and here's the thing, right? Terrain is so important in Shadow Empire. What do I mean by they can't win? Well, it means that what happens is I get a brigade of troops sat in these mountains, and they can roll in all the tanks they want around this way, right? But if at any point, if they don't clear me out, providing I've got a way of supplying my troops, right, I can just move out and cut their supply lines. Especially if I've got some other troops, fast-moving troops like APCs or buggies or even motorbikes that can come in from the other side. They're going to have a formation of troops that kind of spreads like this. Do you know what I mean? They've got to have a lot of troops. If you've got terrain that you can hide in, like what they can do is they can try to get around and cut you off. But even then, I've got a lot of space to play with. They've got to have a lot of troops now. This is a lot of land that they've got to, coverage that they've got to have. They've got to have a combat width that's very, very wide. So I don't think they've got that. I really don't think they've got that, and I can tell because we've got natives here, look, or whatever these guys are, Tozaneria. So yeah, I'm not that worried about those guys. I think if what we got here, Osolia territory. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I would be able to put up enough of a fight to be able to put them off. The worst comes to the worst, I can stick some troops in here and make sure that we are heavily defending this area, and then they've got to either try to go for my SHQ. And I don't think the AI is. It's a good AI, by the way. It will fight back, and it's pretty decent. But it doesn't think quite like a human, so I don't think it would... it'd probably see those troops in there and go, oh, right, okay, well, I can just go around them. And then I've got loads of options, okay? That's not the only reason, by the way. I'm just giving you one example of why terrain is really powerful. The other thing is that we've got all this desert. And if you look at the desert, plains sand here, for example, motorized and tanks get minus 60% on their attack modifier. And they're not very good at defense in this terrain either. That's because basically your troops can dig themselves into the sand, or they can hide behind dunes. And they just don't. They're not able to. Their wheel systems don't work very well in the desert. So we've got this desert to defend as well. I mean, good luck getting infantry out of that. You've got to basically play trench warfare again with tanks moving in, and they're going to get massive defense penalties, and you're sitting there with your RPGs and your crummy RPGs that weren't any good on the Rocky Plains, or Plains Rocky as Shadow Empire likes to call them. Those guys are going to be very effective against negative 60% attack modifier. Okay, they're going to be way better. The other thing, I had a couple of questions. I had loads of questions. By the way, my channel's kind of getting to the point now where I'm getting so many comments every day that I'm struggling to be able to keep up with answering them all. And I'm grateful. That's a good sign, by the way, okay? It's, obviously, I think from now on, if I'm getting comments where people are just like, hey, thanks, I'm just going to sort of heart it, and, I'll try and type a quick reply if I've got time. But I'm going to try to focus on questions and things, so, because it's really, I am running out of time in the day to be able to answer everyone. So thank you so much, and please keep commenting, because it really helps my channel. And it also helps me know, like, what you guys are focusing on as well, because... If it wasn't for some of the comments in this game, I'd have probably lost. The other thing is that it helps other players, because if you're asking questions that I can answer, or other people in the comments can answer, then it's really super helpful as well. I've been blessed with one of the best YouTube communities ever. It's really, really, you know, you guys are really great. Sorry, just bear with me. You guys are really great, and if it wasn't for you guys, I don't think that my channel would be as popular. Anyway, so Droog was asking. He said, I've got another couple of questions from a beginner. Do you need that truck station in between the two zones now? Can you downgrade it or remove it completely? Also, would you be able to explain scavenge points and the limitations on finding fuel when scavenging is your only option? These are two quite different questions. The other thing is, I'm getting a lot of comments about people asking me why I'm not building sealed roads. There's a reason for that. Sealed roads are completely useless for me, apart from down here at the moment. I'll explain to you why. I think there's a bit of a you have to. The thing about let me talk about the roads first, because I think we'll get that one out of the way quick. The way that logistics work, I'm gonna cover this in kind of like a simplified battle mode explanation, because I don't fully understand how logistics works in this game still. The numbers are kind of confusing. However, the simple answer is that your roads carry logistics, which are representing trucks and, you know, convoys of trucks, that kind of thing, until you start getting railway. I won't talk about railway now, but the basic principle is the same. Now, your assets, like the truck stations, produce a certain amount of logistics points, and then those points have action points. Okay, so this is like, and then to confuse things even more, your action points for your trucks also have extension points, which is something, again, completely. The extension points come when you start adding supply bases. We're not going to see that, right? So this kind of comes into why the question, and people seem quite, you know, oh, why are you not building, you know, sealed roads? It seems like a stupid thing to do. Here's the reason why, right? Oh, look. Oh, I've hit my max storage for industrial points. I didn't know that. Okay, in situations like this, by the way, this is where you want to, you know, like, definitely now, we want to start building sealed roads, right? And but only down this way, and I'll show you why. Because, so what happens is, these dirt roads, they only get a certain amount of truck action points, okay? So let's just say for the sake of argument, for simplicity's sake, my truck station in Minos here produces 100 truck points. Each of those truck points then have their own action points attached, right? So the truck points you will use a certain amount of them to move a certain amount of things down this road. But they also have action points in the sense that, you know, this represents that your trucks can only be they're sent out, they radiate out from this central point, and they can go like 5 or 6 hexes before the physical time that they have, or the fuel that they have, begins to run down, right? So, and you can relay stuff. So what will happen is, effectively, you might have, like, you know, let's say we get 10 trucks going down this direction. You're going to have, we represented in the simulation, you're going to have other kind of like little truck stops and things where they're going to refuel. After about 6 or 7 hexes out, I think it's 6 hexes. After about 6 hexes, your ability to refuel your trucks and keep this relay system going kind of diminishes, and that's represented by the truck action points. Now, these dirt roads only give you, I can't remember exact numbers again, I'm gonna have to look in the manual and I can't be bothered, but basically, let's say for the sake of argument that you get 5 truck action points for dirt roads, and you get something like 7 or 10 for the sealed roads. So sealed roads give you more truck action points, which means you're going to lose less of your logistics points through the decay that happens the further you go out, right? So what I mean by that is, let's say if we use the traffic lights here, I can't read these exact numbers, by the way, because they still confuse the hell out of me. But like, for example, here, we'll look at, we've got a truck station here in Neris, right? So if you look at this hex here, and we'll look at the logs. So the source hex is going to be Neris. Neris is 1730, okay? So let's look at this. So truck points coming from 1730. You'll see that it received 191 truck points from the northeast. Okay, so that's from Neris itself, and we used 10 out of 68 action points. I think that's what that means. Okay, then we're sending out from this hex down to the southwest, which is the direction the road goes in. Look, we're then sending out 20. They're going to have used 20 out of 68 action points when they're going back down that way. So that's 191 action points, okay? Once these action points get past 68, Once they get past that number, they'll start to diminish. Okay, you'll start getting less action points, and obviously if they're used along the way, like for example, let's see if we can find a place where we've used some action points. Okay, so here, for example, look, we've got the 4th Light Infantry Battalion. Now the 4th Light Infantry Battalion here are using their local pickup, which is their own trucks and and convoys of men basically. They're most likely trucks. They're sending trucks over to this road, and they're picking up from this road their own supplies that they need. So you'll see here, look, this is what is represented when you use this used points. So what happens at this point, yeah, if we look at the logs per source hex again from 1730, you'll see that they still received 191 truck points. Now at this point, the action points is up to 50 out of 68 used, okay? And now we're sending out 147. Now we sent 31 down in this other road here, so actually some more points went out that way. I think that's presumably yeah, that's because of this water mine here. It's ice mine. But look, so we go back to this thing again here. So we had so out of our 191 truck points that we sent from Neris, and they are 50 out of 68 points. Now that we're sending 147 because some went off. They were used here and some were used down here, and they're sent into various different directions. Now if you get down to here, let's look here. Now you'll see, look, we received 71 truck points from Neris this time, and we're actually over our action points, so we're losing 2 now. We've got this kind of decay. All right, so we're actually losing truck points at this point. So sorry, this was a bit of a long explanation, longer than I wanted, but when you build sealed roads now, you actually get more truck action points, which means that you are going to get your truck points, or your logistics points are going to degrade later. Okay, it's going to be further out before you get that degradation of actually losing logistics points because you've not got enough action points. Okay. So there's 2 ways of doing this. You can either increase the size of your roads, which is with the sealed road. That's what we're going to do now. So we'll get some sealed roads down here. This is a good idea, by the way, but it's not going to help. It's not going to help us at all here. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, we've got a truck station here, so there's absolutely no point, as far as I know, of building building sealed roads here, unless because. There's not no point, okay? So for example, you'll see down here, we're probably still getting some from Minos. Oh no, we've got 5030. That might be this one here. No, that's 2130. Okay, 2530, that's the hex number of Minos. So yeah, we're getting some from 2530. So yeah, you'll see here we got 103 points actually coming from Minos, but they're getting towards the end of their action points here. I think now you will also lose truck points when this is a complicated system, right? But we've got a truck station here, we've got one here, we've got one here. You will actually lose something like 60% of your truck points coming from Minos when you hit this one. So this is going to answer the other question. There's not a whole lot of point right now while I'm using most of my logistics points in building these sealed roads. Okay, it wasn't a big priority for me. You probably should do it around about this point, simply because any extra points that are not being used between Minos, this truck station here at Artificial Device, what a weird name for a place, and then Neris, yeah, you are going to eventually get the decay off. So if you've got lots and lots of industrial points like we have, right, you might as well build the sealed roads now. It's not going to hurt anything. But at least at this point of the game, I didn't feel like it was a big thing, because I just don't have a lot. Most of my action was going on basically within about 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Within about 10 hexes from my SHQ. So the amount, especially when I didn't have any industrial points, like I just didn't have any. Like it was so hard to get any industrial points. It was not worth my time. However, yeah, you want to do it. You want to eventually move you want to make your main roads sealed roads, but it's not like you don't feel obliged that you have, like for example here at this ice mine, for example, and I've actually I'm going to block this off with a traffic light here, for example. Don't feel obliged to bring, to build sealed roads everywhere. It's just not worth it. You don't need to do that. You're not going to get much benefit from it. If you've got loads and loads of industrial points, and you've got industrial points coming out your ears, then yeah, just build sealed roads everywhere. Use them. Don't there's no point in not building them. Obviously, there are going to be some considerations, like if you're in a war and looks like you might lose, territory, then you might want to get rid of your roads because you don't want to give them to the enemy. Although the AI just builds roads for free anyway. That's one of the little cheats that it has in order to bring it up to sort of a human level of play. That's being addressed, by the way. I know some people really hate that. I don't care. Some people really hate that, though. So I think Vic's trying to work on that. Anyway, so that is why... That to answer all of your questions, because I had about 3 or 4 people ask me about that. Why don't you build sealed roads? And that's the reason. It's just because I just don't need them. However, I am going to do it now because I have actually got quite a lot of industrial points. The thing is, though, these are not cheap to build, especially if you're building them through mountains. For example, if I was to build them through here, look, that's like 1,000 industrial points to go through mountains. So you really don't. You've got to be a bit careful about, just don't build roads for no reason. Okay, they're not going to help you. You want to make sure that you are actually getting some benefits from the industrial points that you're spending, which means that you need to be, you want to be banking on the fact that you've got you're going to be losing truck action points, and then there's a point in having the sealed roads, because if there's not, you're just wasting your industrial points. So especially early in the game, I think seen people do this before, where people used to send me kind of, save my game kind of thing, where they'll send me a game save and I'll look at to see what they've done. And I often see people build tons of sealed roads, and it's just they'll build sealed roads absolutely everywhere, and it's just a complete waste of industrial points, man. You just do not need to do that. You only need to do it really on your main roads. If you've got, like I have, I took the foresight of building another truck station here because I was anticipating very, very heavy use. Look, we've got a blockage here. We've got a bottleneck here, potential bottleneck. When that goes black, that basically means you've got your truck points have completely stopped. Your logistics points have stopped. Increasing the as far as I can tell, increasing the truck action points between these two locations is not really going to help you at all. There is a bit of there's a bit of a balance though, because, for example, the reason why and this is going to be answering the question about what can I do with this truck station now? Shall I get rid of it? The answer is no, that's a bad idea. You will lose a certain amount of your truck points from Minos once you hit this one. So look, we get a refocus penalty here, okay? Trucks first refocus, logistic point, and you lose 30% of your logistic points, 40 action points, and minus 25%. Okay, so I can't remember exactly what that means. What we're saying is we're losing 30% of our logistics points as we refocus, because what's happening is your administrators in your truck system, they're going to be they're having to route all your trucks, schedule out all these different things, ammo's going here, food's going here, blah blah blah, right? And when you've got another truck station that is interfering, they've got their own administration and bureaucracy for doing all that kind of stuff, then they're kind of getting each other's way. That's basic. And the other thing is that your trucks originating from your SHQ in Minos, they have their own little relay system, and then you're having to tag off their relay system here in artificial device, and then you've got trucks coming this way as well. So it starts getting a bit confusing, and that's why you get this refocusing penalty. The other thing is it's kind of a gameplay device to stop you just building truck stations on every hex, because that would break the logistics system completely. And you don't get that in real life. That wouldn't make any sense either. Imagine every 100 meters down the road between your city and the neighbor's city, you've got another truck station. That's just not going to help. So it the refocusing penalty is basically there as partly it's realistic and partly as a gameplay device to stop people just I mean, there's another reason why you don't want to do that, is that it's expensive, and you have to actually, these truck stations actually do take fuel, for example. Yeah, so the reason why I built that is because I am anticipating at some point some heavy load during this road. We are losing 30% of the truck's points from Minos, but I still think it's worth it, and the reason being is because the vast majority of our load will be between these two, okay? And losing 30% of the points is probably not going to be a whole lot. I mean, if we just look at we've only got a truck station 2 here in the city. So we're actually pushing out 2,300 truck points. So what's 30% of that? Sorry, my math ability when I'm tired is really fucking difficult to do, but so 10% of that is going to be 230. So it's like 600 points, 660 points, something like that. So you'd lose about 660 points, okay? But this truck station here is sending out 768. So you're kind of making it back up. But this is here as really as a stopgap. Like, because let's say you get a real big heavy load on this road, right? And it's more than what you're normally pushing out. Let's say, for example, we use a load of ammo on the front line, because we're using a whole load of ammo and we're using a whole load of fuel or whatever it is, or we're building like I don't know, for some reason I go a bit crazy and I put like 5 different construction products up, and then it's got to send materials. Loads of stuff goes back from Neris to the SHQ because we've got a load of mines here, and then it's got to send those things back out to the construction products, because that's how it works. I think so. Like, everything goes out back to the SHQ. All excess materials go back out to the SHQ after they've been used, and then stuff will go back out again from the SHQ back along the same route. So you've got like a lot of load here, and if we didn't have this, and you get an unexpected load, you can just get a big bottleneck, and then stuff doesn't arrive. If you've got this truck station here, the way I understand it, you're less likely to get a bottleneck. That's why I build these, and actually you would probably want to upgrade this one to a level 2, because upgrading this one to a level 2 would definitely make it worth it over the, because you get losing this 30% refocusing penalty from here and here. If you really want to get into your logistics, by the way, you can turn off the pull system and you can start using traffic lights. So you could say, right, okay, I want Minos to mostly send its logistics points out that way, and I could block off like 30% of the traffic lights. Like, for example, I could do this. I could say I want to block 40% of my traffic of my logistics points from going out that way. That would mean that I would get less of that refocusing penalty, okay? Because there'd be less truck points going out that way. More points are going to be going out this direction, this direction, this direction. So you can get really creative with how this works, and you can say, okay, right, well, I want this truck station to mostly be supplying this end of my empire. I want this truck station, like I've done this, you'll see me do this in other games. I'll be like, right, this truck station here, in order to avoid the refocusing penalty and waste truck points in Neris, I'm actually going to send all of my truck points, and I'm going to, I'd turn everything, maybe apart from pull, I'm going to turn off everything going up west and north, and that means, look, we're going to get more going just between this route and this route, and then it's not going to send any out that way, which means we're not going to get a refocusing penalty for those truck points going out to Neris that way, all right? So a Neris will get less refocusing penalty for when it hits through this truck station this way, if I was to go then do the same here, look. So if I was to block off, like part of my points going that way, we'd get less going along this road, but you would get less refocusing points and you'd get more going out this way, and overall your overall logistics would be bigger. This is why, if you like, the pull system's supposed to stop this stuff. You like, basically pull is basically designed, as far as I understand, to basically mean there's less need for you to fiddle with traffic lights. The problem is, in practice, it doesn't really work like that. It's not actually that good. It's pretty good for most of the game. And then you'll get to a point where, like, what I say about pull system is it works until it doesn't. It works perfectly until your whole front line starves because it does something unexpected, and then it's a problem. So it's like, it's one of those things that it will pick up on most human errors, and it plays most of the logistics system for you, but it's, there's a lot more you can do with it, and there's like 3 systems built into, or 2 systems built into one now. Anyway, guys, I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to have this as a separate episode. I'm just going to have this as an episode on logistics because, I haven't actually done any gameplay. But I think it's kind of important for you to hear my views on this, because if you watch other people or you see other people play, they'll be able to, they'll have either a better understanding or a different understanding of how logistics works to me, and they'll have their own ways of doing things. Like, you could get rid of this, like this truck station here. But the thing is, it's not there then to pick up on the slack that if we do get a whole load of load on this road, I found the best way to deal with it is not always like, you can build biggest truck stations in the center. That's your first thing you want to do. But when let's say like in our situation, I didn't really have the industrial points to get up a truck station 3. That was going to take me a long time. That was going to be 3 turns where I wouldn't be able to resupply my troops, right? So in that case, it's actually better just to get a small truck station here that goes up in 1 turn. And yeah, you're going to get the refocusing penalty, but it still sends out a whole bunch of truck points anyway. And I don't care if this is, since this is the location where the main bottleneck is. If I lose truck points here, that's less of an issue than it is if I have a black if I have a black line here, because then nothing gets through. So I don't really care if I lose 30% of whatever gets left to this point, because this is the main area where the bottleneck is going to be, if you follow me. So providing that this part of the road is covered, that's the important bit. If there's if there's like 30% loss of the rest of the truck points after this point, well, that's not the end of the world. At least I've got past this part, and I'd rather this was a red line and this was a blue one than this was a black, if you follow me. All right. Anyway, guys, I'm going to end that episode. I think what I'll do is I'll have this as a completely separate one, because there wasn't any gameplay. But yeah, hopefully you get to see, what the differences between sealed roads and sealed roads and the dirt roads. Basically, the dirt roads just they allow less truck action points, so you get more action points. Your trucks go further on the sealed roads. That's basically what it is. It's very accurate in the way it models things, but you don't get more action points. You don't get more truck points. They don't give you more truck points, and I think that's the big misunderstanding that people have. So with sealed roads, your same action points go further before they begin to decay. Okay. But like if you've got like me, you've got plenty of industrial points here. It's probably at this point of the game, it's probably okay to start putting them up. Don't feel like if you've got a bottleneck here in Minos. Let's say we've got a bottleneck here between Minos and Neris, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, but you are not going to get very much utility out of sealed roads here. That's not going to help you, because the problem is not that your action points are running out. The problem you've got is you've not got enough truck points. So before you build sealed roads, build bigger truck stations, okay? However, let's say that we are out on this east flank. Let's say we've got a zone here, and you're trying to supply troops over here. Like, let's say this happens a lot in Shadow Empire, by the way. What's going to happen with us when we go this way? We're going to have let's say we're trying to supply people right on this end, and you're wondering why your troops aren't getting enough action. You're not getting enough logistics points. They're starving or whatever. That is because you've not your truck action points. You might have the biggest truck station in the world, like level 7, but after a certain point, the action points are going to run right out because you haven't got the right roads. It's at that point that you want to think about sealed roads. So put the sealed roads up when you've got the free action, the free industrial points to do so. But that's not going to fix a problem, between two zones like this. It's not going to do much anyway. That's my understanding of it. You get more action points, but you don't get more logistics points. So somebody might point that out and say, no, that's completely wrong. But that's my understanding. I was talking to some people on the Explorminate Discord as well, and that's their somebody clarified that for me, because I was just like, I originally thought that sealed roads gave you less decay. That's not quite right. They don't give you less decay. That's the fundamental effect. Like after a certain point, you get less decay on action points. You get less logistical point decay because they have more action points and they carry those individual points further. If that makes sense. Anyway, okay guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Take it easy.